On this installment of From My Garden in the Backyard, tomatoes. These are beautiful. Now, years ago when I was with the Food Network, my first producer's name was Alan Reed. He and his wife, Mady Land, owned a production called Reed Land Production. And Alan would always stress, don't date the material, that way it can live forever. Great point. However, today, I've got to point out, it's August 16. Why? 2020, August 16, 2020. It rained in Novato, California. It reminds me and feels very much like Conyers, Georgia right now. It's been in the hundreds the last 2 or 3 days, and it's going to stay that way a couple more days. So it's hot, it's steamy, it's humid. Wow! And tomatoes do great in that humid weather down in Georgia. They also do very well in the dry climate out in Northern California. So harvesting tomatoes might be one of the easiest things to do. You just look at it, determine the ripeness. Now this is a beautiful tomato here, and you should just be able to pull it right off. And if you can't, you know, always be prepared, bring your little snips, because we don't want to damage the plant. Now look at that. Is that a gorgeous tomato? Wow. This is one of my French tomatoes, some of the seeds I brought back from Paris last year, and they're just doing beautifully. So today I'm going to make for you, with French tomatoes, a Spanish dish, Gazpacho. The recipe today calls for 3 pounds of tomatoes. It doesn't say specifically to peel tomatoes. However, I thought it'd be a great time to share with you how to do that. Peel a tomato. Just score the tip end, the blossom end it's called. Make a little X there, and then drop it into the boiling water for about 15 to 20 seconds at most. We are not cooking the tomato. We're just heating it up. And remember, heat causes things to expand, and that skin, the tomato will stretch out of the skin, and then when we cool it down, the flesh will shrink, making it easy to peel the tomato. Chemistry of cooking. I just love that. Although I'm not a chemistry teacher. Drop it in the ice bath. Gonna turn it over the same way we did in the water, just to cool it down. Take that paring knife again, and we'll just zip it under that peel and just pull it back. See how easy that is? We haven't cooked that tomato at all. Still nice and firm, and that skin just peels right off. Why do we want to peel a tomato? Well, think about it. If you are making a vinaigrette dressing or whatever you're doing, that skin will not absorb the flavor. However, the flesh will. Now, the skin is a great source of fiber, as we know, and we need fiber in our body. And we don't need it when making a nice, delicate salad, do we? Easy way to peel a tomato. Here are our ingredients for the gazpacho. I've got about 3 pounds of tomatoes that I've already peeled, and you dice those up. I've got a pepper. I'm using a yellow pepper. You can use any pepper you like. Cucumber, a couple of cloves of garlic, vinegar, sherry, filtered water. Lisa loves Fiji, so I'm using Fiji. And then we need olive oil. Most call for Spanish olive oil. However, since we're in California, we're going to use a Napa Valley oil. Let's make our gazpacho. Smells so fresh. I'm going to slice it in half, then remove the seeds. Just take your spoon and scoop those right out. Prep your pepper. Now our garlic, just 2 cloves. And it's okay if it's broken because we're going to crush it up in the food blend processor anyway. Well, I've done a little housekeeping there, and I've also spruced up our garlic. What I want to do now is just chop our veggies, the cucumber. I'm going to cut it into little strips, make it easy to chop it up. Now, our star of the day, the tomatoes. Let's go ahead and prep them up. We've already peeled them, and I said I would tell you about leaving some of the stems on. This just makes it easier to handle the tomato. So what I do is just leave the stem on if I'm going to chop it or whatever. In this case, though, I'm just going to remove it with my paring knife. Just circle it, do a little circle cut there, and then just cut it up into our container. I used to love watching my mother work with tomatoes when she was making tomato soup. Speaking of tomato soups, now you see we peel these tomatoes so it makes for a nice smoother soup if you make tomato soup with these. And there's no perfect way to cut these. I'm just cutting them up. You could chop them on your cutting board. However, I feel it's I seem to, you get all the juice in there if you do it right over the bowl. So this is one of those interesting situations when you're doing a video, and it's kind of boring for the viewer to watch you chop something. So check out the little top. Okay, you can fast forward. Anyway, go ahead and cut them into a bowl and make it easy for you. Well, the proof's in the pudding. Put it in your mouth to see how it tastes. Now I'm going to try the... Well, it's that time for the proof. The proof of putting it in your mouth, see how it tastes. I love doing that. Oh, that's terrible. Curtis George. 3, 2, 1.